Yeah. So first thing I kind of noticed was that this team is pretty player led. Meaning that the players hold each other accountable, and I think that's huge when it comes to succeeding. Not really having to have the coaches dictate everything, but just knowing that you need to do the right things at all times, and I think just coming in to see it's a process like just getting and getting where you fit in, to continue on with the success.
You announced that you were going to get into the portal, and then once you were officially in, how long did it take for someone from Iowa State like Hoosier or Slatenow to get in touch with you?
I want to say open around like 6 o'clock. I want to say 6:01. I was on the phone with Hoosier. So yeah, I would say it was the first call.
And you already had a connection with those guys. I mean, how seamless of a fit was it? I mean, at that point for you?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I was watching Iowa State the whole season, So I mean, it was I felt like it would be a great fit, and I was happy when they called.
Did any of them give you a hard time? Like, hey, it's nice to have you this time around?
Yeah. Coach Campbell. He was, he was first to say it, but I knew I was gonna get a little bit of it. But yeah, they were like, during the recruitment process, it was like, hey, we're not gonna do this again. When you're coming, you're coming, and I was like, yeah, for sure, I'm locked in, 100%.
How important, I guess, was it for like the first time you went through this whole process to kind of keep that? Maybe that door open, or I guess don't burn a bridge with a coach, so to speak.
Right. I think that's huge. You don't ever want to really burn a bridge with any coach or anybody. And when I did decide to flip to go to UCF, none of the coaches had ill will towards me. They all wished me success, and one of the best for me. So I think that speaks huge. As when it comes to their character, the character as people, and the character as just a team overall. You want to play for people like that. You want to play for great people.
How would you describe yourself as a player?
First, I want to describe myself as a hard worker, because before it shows on the football field, it's in the film room, in the indoor doing the work and all that, and then when it comes down to game day, I feel like I'm pretty electric. I can make plays, downfield passes, in the return game, flipping field in the return game, and just making plays.
What's it like to play alongside Chase? Do you feel like you kind of complement each other in some ways?
Yeah, for sure. Chase is a great player. From the time I've been here, we came in. First thing we did was like, hey, let's go put some work in. And that speaks a lot about Chase. He's a hard worker. He wants to keep continuing to better his craft, and as do I. So I mean, it's been great. We just been able to tag along with the players that's been here, because everybody here is hardworking too. So you always see somebody getting extra work in. When you see that, that wants you to. That makes you like, hey, let me hop in with you. It's always welcome arms. Like, hey, we encourage that. So, I mean, it's just been great, just being here with everybody.
How would you describe your relationship with Rocco? I know I got over here late after talking to Ike, but first time you met him, what current relationship? How would you describe it?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, I met him. We were young, probably like 8. So I've known him for a while. And just getting here and actually being on the team with him, I get to see a different side of him. It's not just that friendly, hey. I get to see him in action now. And one word to describe him is just a leader. Just coming in, he's been leading this team, and I've been seeing it from afar, but now I can see it up close and personal and be a part of that. So it's been great being here and seeing him in that role as well.
You're obviously going to get compared to Jalen Noel a lot. How would you compare yourself to Jalen Noel?
I don't know. That's a great question. I know Jalen is a great player, and he's done amazing things here. And one thing I like to do is I like to say, hey, Jalen's Jalen, and I'm me. And again, he's had tremendous success. I've been watching his film, seeing the great things that he's done and trying to implement that into my game so that I can try to have the same success. So again, like he's a great player, and me. So we're gonna see if I can have some type of success like that.
Your coaches said you've been hitting the ground running since you got here. How would you describe the transition from your point of view?
I think it's been pretty good. Just coming in, I know there's some work to do if I want to be able to help this team. So I wanted to come in, just head down and working hard. Not and then be part of the team, trying to learn everybody's name, get to know everybody personally, because I think, just coming in seeing that this is a really, close-knit team, I don't want to be part of that. So, just taking the time out of my day to try to learn people and learn their background a little bit, and which they've done with me too. The players on the team asking questions about me, my background, things like that, getting to know each other.
Versatility seems to be one of your strengths. How have they been kind of deploying you or kind of utilizing you in practice, and where can we expect to see you on game day?
Well, I couldn't tell you about game day, but so far in practice, I've been moving around a little bit, from the slot outside. I've been getting some reps in the return game as well. There's been some jet sweeps. So I mean, just the offense. It allows players, not just myself, but many players to move around and be able to play in different spots.
You talked about the hard work as a lot of guys might say electric first versus hard work.
Right.
How much have you watched guys maybe kind of coast on their talent maybe in your career, and you're not a guy that wants to do that? You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
That's why you're making such a point to focus on the hard work.
For sure. Like you said, I've seen that many times, guys with tremendous talent, and it's brought some success, and guys have kind of coasted off of that and kind of laid back on that. But, what I've been taught, hard work beats talent any day. So I think when you can mix that, you have that talent, but you keep trying to hone in on it and try to get better with it, with the hard work, I think that's when special things happen.
When you guys were 8 years old, not to beat the Rocco and you friendship thing to
Right.
death, but were you guys friends at that point, or just kind of competitors on opposite teams who respected each other?
Yeah, we were competitors, and then I think we had mutual friends, and then that's how we kind of got connected. And then from that point, we were friends from there. So,
Out of all those games in your youth, when you guys would play against each other, what's one play you remember maybe that Rocco did to maybe score a touchdown, or something that you guys did to stop him?
yeah, we were talking about it, I think 2 days ago, and it was a 7-on-7 game, and Rocco he threw an interception to my team, but the ref said our player was out of bounds, and they ended up winning that game from that. So we were talking about that because we're both really competitive, and nobody likes to lose. So that was one that he won, and so I was just reminding him, yeah, the refs cheated for y'all on this play, and he said nah, they won fair and square, but. Yeah, that's one for sure that sticks out in my mind.
Is it wild to think about a guy who you knew since before either of your voices changed? They're playing college football together now. They're coming off their best season ever. You're coming in wanting to be the big things. This is just kind of I don't know what you call it. It's kind of wild to think about.
Yeah, for sure. Especially coming all the way out of Iowa to do it. Yeah. So I think it's pretty cool. I remember we actually came here on our visit together, and we talked about this opportunity, and so for it to actually come out now, so I think it's exciting for sure.
There's some big shoes to fill at this position. How much does that motivate you personally, and just you guys as a receiver group, to make sure there's no drop off in production and trying to fill that void?
Yeah, it's no secret that it's been great receivers last year with Jalen and Jaden, and of course everybody wants to help the team and to continue on. So we know we have to make that step together, not just one or two of us, but I think the receiver room as a group, everybody has to make that contribution to sustain the excellence that's been here. So I mean, everybody's excited. Everybody's chomping at the bit, wanting to make plays for the team, to help us win.
I know it's just a saying, like you said, hard work beats talent. But who instilled that thought process in you? I mean, we talked about sharing backgrounds with everybody. Like,
Right.
who had the biggest influence, I guess, on you having that be your bedrock to build from?
Yeah, my parents, just from a young age, I was pretty good at football, and but they made sure that, hey, you're not gonna do this just off of talent. You're gonna get up and you're gonna do that work. And then my high school coach, Coach Sile, he was huge on that too. Head down, working hard. Not really much to say. We're just gonna go out there and compete and beat you with that. So
Kind of like you're never as good as you think you are, or people are telling you you are. It's
Exactly.
like you got to build off of that.
exactly, and never let your head get too big.